Good morning, Santa Clarita. This is Kathleen Keneally of Keneally Acupuncture Healing Resource Center with my co-host.
This is Karen Knott, a GIA Wellness consultant here in the Valley.
And we are very excited today. We're having a special presentation today with our amazing guest, wife, mother, co-CEO of GIA Wellness, Lynda Cormier-Hanser. She's a graduate from USC in English Literature, studied at Cambridge University. She's a speaker, an author, an expert in team building and leadership. Lynda, thank you so much for being here today. We're so excited.
So am I. This is awesome.
So we're really excited about talking about GIA Wellness today. And, the name of the company, GIA Wellness, we know that GIA is actually an acronym. Can you tell us a little bit about where the name came from?
Absolutely. I love the fact that the name of our company really represents everything that GIA stands for. So the G of GIA stands for growth, and we associate that with growth and health and well-being and wellness. The I of GIA stands for inspiration. You know, we always believe, and I think everyone believes, that when you're inspired and happy and living your best life, when you're at your best, everything's good, right? We're in the zone, so to speak. And then the A stands for abundance. And clearly, in these economic times and in these times in the United States and across the world, a sense of abundance and feeling of security, where your finances are coming from, and creating a financial energy is a fundamental part of having balance in your life and a sense of security. So honestly, when we look at growth, inspiration, and abundance, the words that I think of in addition to that are health, happiness, and prosperity.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Wow, that's fabulous. So when we go back to the growth category, GIA Wellness has technologies in the areas of hydration, energy, and nourishment. And all these areas of our health are impacted with the presence of magnetic toxins. And so I'm wondering if you could define this dangerous toxin, this electromagnetic radiation or electropollution, and just tell us what might be some of the symptoms that people might recognize when they're exposed to that.
Well, we feel really fortunate as a company to bring resources that are addressing this toxin. So electromagnetic radiation, people are somewhat familiar with as the effect of having wireless devices, right? So we have our smartphones, we have our wireless routers, we have our iPads, we have hotspots, we have all of these advances in technologies and communications that are phenomenal and have made our world very easy, very convenient, very expedient, all of these things. However, along with those devices comes this emission, literally, like you think of is smog being emitted from automobiles, and there had to be devices put in place. This is electro-smog. It is everywhere, and the reason that it is so devastating, quite honestly, is because it's invisible, so you can't see it. It's odorless, you can't smell it. It's tasteless, you can't taste it. You don't know it's there. The symptoms that people feel literally are from excess fatigue at times of the day that they wouldn't expect it, excess road rage, being more anxious and agitated than normal, from things that are everyday irritants to long-term, significantly consequential health issues. We're talking, conditions that are debilitating. So everything from sleeplessness to tumors and cancers and, any sort of disease, dis-ease in the human body that's exacerbated by stress. It is a constant stress to our being. So the symptoms are all over the place, all across the board. Different people handle stress differently, so our bodies react differently.
Okay. Well, I've certainly seen that in my practice as an acupuncturist, dealing with people's wellness every day, where, people will come in and have this unexplained anxiety or sleeplessness. And like you're saying, it's all over the map. Kids not being able to focus, adults not being able to focus.
Exactly.
And I've really seen, it's just increased. As you were saying, it's kind of like we're in this technology that's continuing to expand. We're not going backwards.
Right.
Right? So we're more and more, and you were just saying the other day, weren't you, Karen, about not people not being able to settle down?
Exactly. Just everywhere you go, if you look in a restaurant, you look at people's legs, everybody's legs is tapping the floor. I mean, there's just an anxiousness and anxiety in society, I think.
100%. And electromagnetic radiation exacerbates that. It magnifies that restlessness and that anxiety on a daily basis. Yeah. And of course, the long-term impact, unfortunately, we are seeing now because this is, we've now been exposed for so long.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Again, like I say in my practice, what I've seen in terms of fertility even.
Yes.
Unexplained infertility in women in their 20s, which is really unheard of. I mean, to such a degree. And it's, this is the first generation from conception to adulthood that's been exposed to all of this. So, I mean, here's the thing. With this technology being introduced to children at a younger and younger age, I mean, you see kids with their, like you said, the iPads, babies playing with their parents' phones, with games. Is there more concern, for the younger generation as we see this increasing amount of exposure?
There is, 100%. I have a daughter who is 19 years old, and she represents a generation of kids and teens and young adults whose bodies do not know what it's like to not have this external stress.
Wow. Yes.
They don't know what it's like because by the time that when I was pregnant with her, we were already starting with the constant exposure to electromagnetic radiation. If you think about our grandparents or our great-grandparents, the statistics show that the exposure is 100 million times more than it was back then. And you look, we live in what should be the most advanced medical times of our life, and yet there's all these unsolved mysteries, so to speak, like you're saying, fertility issues at age 20, ADD, autism, ADHD. I mean, the list goes on and on. Right. And the one thing I'll just share that this has really been one of the most rewarding things as a company, as we travel across the country and blessed to travel across the world as we have distribution in different parts of Canada, United States, and Australia, New Zealand. The one thing that has really been so rewarding is when we have people come up to us and say, for the first time in my life, I don't feel like I'm crazy because I've been to the doctors. I've been here. They've been trying to figure out what's wrong with me. They think I have, it's like, oh, it's all psychosomatic. We can't find anything wrong with you. And again, it's because it's this invisible toxicity that doctors and scientists are just now coming to realize. It's the common denominator.
Exactly. Yep. And in the last year, speaking of doctors and scientists, there's been a lot of verification coming from the medical community about the desperate need to address this toxin. And I'm just wondering if you could highlight some of the studies that have come out that are giving them cause to really stop and examine this initiatives regarding EMF exposure.
I can. And I'm just going to be very honest. It's a bittersweet moment, to be honest. Of course, the sweet part is that we've been at this for several years, and when we were introducing these products and technologies, there was a lot of, people who were like, oh, they wouldn't sell cell phones and smartphones if it was that bad for you, and there was some, there was some naysayers. So I guess the sweet part is that we have, in one instance, 220 scientists and doctors, leading professors from leading universities in this amazing country. And 220 of them have come together with an appeal to the United Nations to say something has to be done about this. Is impacting the health and wellness of the entire population, not just of the United States, but of the earth, of the planet. And something has to be done. So it's really great to have that validation. The bitter is, it's the reality. It's the reality that this is something that needs to be addressed. So it is with a bittersweet, I guess, sentiment that we acknowledge that, and we are so grateful for the open-minded, forward-thinking doctors and scientists and physicians and natural healthcare providers and advocates who are really raising the awareness, not just for the children and the young adults, but for those baby boomers and for those elderly folks who are just trying to have some good quality of life as they age. And that's being compromised as well. So, I mean, I could go on and list study after study, but, you know, the landmark study that came out that was a compilation of numerous studies. And what they do is they take all these different studies and they put them together, and then they kind of have a synopsis. And it has been classified as a potential in class 3 or class 2 or class 3 carcinogen. I'm sorry, I don't care if it's class 1, class 2, class 3. Carcinogen alone is the word, right? So when you have doctors and scientists and physicians saying that, you know, the world is taking notice.
Okay. Well, you know, I've heard people say, and maybe I'm sure you have too, this is kind of the new cigarette. Mm-hmm. You know, that cigarettes, you know, 20, 25 years ago, people said, oh, it's fine. It's safe. It's not hurting me. It's no problem. Why would they sell something that's going to be bad? I can smoke when I'm pregnant. I can, you know, and obviously we all know the truth of the matter and have known for a while. Same sort of thing. I mean,
very, very similar. Very similar analogies have been made. And the truth is, while they were debating cigarette smoke and while they were debating secondhand smoke, diagnoses were being made. People were dying. People were living a compromised sense of health and wellness all during the time of the debate. And then the debate was over, and then, of course, that's up to people if they make that choice. But they're making a choice with knowledge.
Well,
Same thing has been going on. It's been debated now for years, but the debate is over. Electromagnetic radiation is a problem, and that's the bad news. The good news is that we are so blessed and so fortunate to have patented technologies that can make a difference.
It's so exciting. I just love to hear your passion about this. I mean, it's so inspiring because, you know, that's it. It's about the passion. It's about getting out there and letting them know, like you said, that there are solutions, that there are things that can be done.
And I have to say that I think some of the passion that I have around this, obviously there's a lot of different things that make up the ingredients of what makes us passionate. My father happened to be instrumental in bringing cell phone technology to the world. So he did not know. He's been long gone from my life, unfortunately, guiding over me, but he was instrumental in bringing this technology to the planet. I have a sense of responsibility. I feel a sense of destiny, that there's a reason that this technology is in our hands to bring to you and to the people across the world. I think the other thing that drives my passion, and this has been more recent, this correlation has been more recent for me, I've always been passionate about helping people discover their potential and recognize how just amazingly infinite the possibilities are for every individual. They have gifts, they have desires, they have passion and ambition, and my drive has always been to help people see that and bring that out. And it was only until recently that I realized, if you're constantly fighting this external toxin, if you're jittery, if it's exacerbating your ADD, if you're restless and you can't focus, your interpersonal communication is going to be compromised. Your sense of self-esteem is compromised. You're compromised. And so it's from a health perspective that passion comes from me for sure. But it's also from a personal growth and personal experience that passion is fueled in me. Because anything that gets in the way of that, whether it's a limiting belief,
right,
or whether it's an external environmental stress that influences you and causes you to not be your best, we got to do something about it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Exactly. Absolutely. So tell me, why is GIA Wellness poised as the gold standard? You know, because there's other companies that are doing this kind of stuff. Gold standard when it comes to negating the harsh impacts of the EMFs.
Okay, so in the interest of time, I'm going to cut right to the chase. There are a few other companies that have products that have the ability to potentially enhance your energetic resilience, your ability to deal with stress, right? In the same way that meditation helps you deal with stress. Mm-hmm. Meditation does not offset the impact of radiation exposure. It can help reduce your stress, but it cannot inhibit radiation absorption. And let it be known that the reason that GIA Wellness is the gold standard in specifically cell phone protection and radiation negation is that we have a patented technology that has been proven to reduce radiation absorption. That gives us the ability to say we are the only product on the market that has that patent and that proof. And it's almost like a dual technology, because we have a technology that does help you deal with the stress. It helps you the way meditation helps you. So it helps your body be more resilient. Aspect number one. Aspect number two is minimizing the radiation exposure, allowing you to have a signal and use your phone and use your devices without compromising the signal, but with compromising the radiation absorption and the way that your body responds. That is huge.
You know, Lynda, like you said, we have this patented technology. So I wonder if you could just describe a little bit about that patented and proprietary technology and its use in our, not just the cell guard, but now we have the amazing cell phone case. So if we could just describe how those technologies work within those products.
Okay, so the easiest way to describe the way it works, using radiation absorption as kind of the enemy, that's what we're trying to avoid. There's no avoiding the radiation being emitted from your phone. Without it, you can't have a signal, and so you need it. So what we have to do is identify a way to allow the radiation to be emitted from the cell phone, but counteract the impact of the human body. So if you can, imagine in your brain an arrow, like if somebody's shooting a bow and arrow, right? The most dangerous part of the arrow is the tip, the point, the steelhead, so to speak, of the arrow. That's what's going to penetrate whatever it is that you're aiming at. Our technology has the ability to break the arrow off the stick. So what's coming at you, instead of the arrow that can penetrate you, is a wooden stick. Now, does it cause a little bit of, damage, or does it try and impact you? It tries, but the main thrust and the main enemy, so to speak, has been disabled. And the way it happens is very brilliant, thanks to the person who invented the technology. We don't take any claim for inventing the technology. It's brilliant. It's the electromagnetic radiation must be sensed by our device. So it has to sense it, the way one magnet kind of senses another magnet. Once it senses that electromagnetic radiation is present, it releases its own energetic frequency. And so it's the combination of those two things that disarm the enemy and that inhibit the radiation absorption.
No wonder we're so excited and passionate.
That's great. We're going to take a little break for a minute or so, and then when we come back, I want to ask you some questions about an internet documentary that was recently aired. So, thank you.
Sounds great.